Hello, friends. Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's installment of Cichlids and Coffee. And wherever you are, I hope you're drinking out of one of the Cichlids and Coffee mugs, and even wearing one of these, one of the hoodies. So let's see, Comply V, or is that Comply 5? Thank you so much for getting here first. And as is the tradition, send me your address to ben.o.cichlid at Gmail, and I will get some stickers over to you. How's that? We also have Hotea, Marion, hello to you, Daryl Edwards Jr., and Po Si Wee. Hello, Po Si Wee. Thank you for coming back. And hello, Neil. Let's see here. Hello, everyone. Here we go. May the battle commence. Should be a pay-per-view. All right. And R. Baglio. And hello to you, Clint's Aqua Tanks. And Cat Sailor. Hello to the two of you. And let's see here. Who else has jumped on? It looks like it's 7 p.m. over in South America, Anton? Thank you for joining from so far away. And let's go ahead and get things underway. And first and foremost, I want to do my normal welcome here and give you folks a glimpse at that very nice video that was done for me by Phil Griffiths over in the UK. Love that video. So welcome to everybody, and don't forget to follow on Instagram. You have the address right there, the ben.o.cichlid on Instagram. I post behind the scenes things, photos, videos that I don't normally upload to YouTube. And also come on over to the Facebook group. We have a great group there of fish keepers, all levels, beginners, advanced. And even though, like I say, cichlid is in the name, it's open to all types of fish keepers. So come on by there. And don't forget to hit that bell and subscribe if you haven't already. I think 70% to 80% of the viewers that watch my videos are not subscribed. So I'm taking that personally. No, I'm not, actually. I'm just kidding. So also, there's new products at the store. I've created some new designs. Check them out at the Teespring store if you get a chance. And you can see the link or the address there to the Teespring store. And let's give some shout outs here to a couple folks here. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the admins, moderators, GP, I think, who single-handed last week, Kevin, and Kevin, Denny, and of course the wonderful Candi. And sometimes, the moderators get tied up, they don't show up, I get it, but thank you very much. It's kind of a volunteer position, and it's very, very appreciated what they do. So let's get into what's been going on here. And I released 3 videos last week, as is the normal sort of lineup. And I had one that went into the component parts of the 60-gallon, and of course that is the first tank that I got going on YouTube, and it's supposed to be a grow-out tank, but it's not really a grow-out tank. It's actually currently right now it's a home for the Lethrinops and a red shoulder and a gar, a Malawi gar, and so it's not really a grow-out tank right now. But at any rate, I broke it down. I went into the different component parts of it, and people they liked it. I got a good response. The trip I took to CK Fish World, it was great to go into the fish store. It was great to get out. I don't know where you folks live or what stage where you are is at regarding the COVID-19, but here in California, it almost looks like they're starting to clamp down again, and requiring masks wherever you go, blah blah blah. And so it was just good to get out, and to have some human interaction, and to help support the local fish store. I went in there and picked up a little bit of Malawi lake salt. I picked up some safe, picked up a couple items just to kind of support the store. I didn't really have any fish there that I needed, but at any rate, you can take a look at CK Fish World. Great fish store. Very, very liked in the area. I hear nothing but, sometimes I'll do a walkthrough and someone will post how they, brought the fish home and, in quarantine they got sick. They didn't give me my money back, blah, 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 blah. I haven't heard a single negative about CK Fish World. So that was very, very positive. So if you're in the Covina area, I highly recommend you check them out. I also, dove into the someone named Marco who watched the breakdown of the 60-gallon, wanted to know what was inside of the hang-on back. And in case you haven't figured out, a lot of my topics, I mean, imagine posting videos for over 5 years, 9 years. I don't know how long I've been on YouTube, but imagine posting videos all the time. You can get a little bit out of topics. You can run out of topics, and so sometimes someone will say something and it'll spark, and I'll go, oh, okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's go into that filter. And so I did. I broke it down. It's a very unorthodox setup. It's definitely not the way Marineland sends it to you, and it's set up in a way that just sort of evolved over time, and especially with that 60-gallon, because what I was doing with that 60-gallon is that was my show tank. That was my main tank. And so what I was doing was I was very much evolving with that tank, and it was very heavily stocked at one point. So I have 2 canisters and a hang-on back, and so it went through an evolution here. So very quickly, let's talk about what's coming up. But first, let me do a quick check on one thing here. And I'm using some new equipment today. I'm not sure if you notice or not that if you like the quality of the video, let me know, because this is the first time I've hooked up this Sony A6400. So let me know if the video quality is good. And the other thing I want to know about for sure is if the sound, if the audio is linked up correctly, because I'm using a separate mic from the mic in the camera. I can set it up so that the mic runs from the camera, and that way we'd have no issues. But I didn't want to get into that right now. So I'm just using my usual this usual mic and the Blue Yeti. So let me know if the sound is synced up correctly, and what you think about the picture quality. If the picture quality looks good to you, let me know in the comments, because this is the first time I've used this setup, and I just want to know how it looks. And let's see here. Okay, GP, video feed looks spectacular today. Thank you, GP. Okay, good. You follow the instructions, and you hope it's good. You hope it works out. So very, very good. That's what I needed to know. So let's go ahead and get into the upcoming video. The upcoming video is going to be just a couple tips on how to not have to worry about leaks in a canister filter. And these are some things I've stolen from some of the viewers. I've made comments over time, and I've gone ahead and put a video together, just a quick video, and I think that'll post on Tuesday, because I think tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a video about what what fathers who have fish, what they would like to get for Father's Day, and the video is going to talk about the kind of things that fish keepers. It would make a fish keeper's life a lot easier, but they usually don't run out and buy it, either because of cost or it's just sort of low on the list. But once they get it, they wish they had it the whole time, because it's sort of a game changer. So I'm going to put together a list of about maybe between 5 and 10 items that I think would be good gifts for Dad. And for you fathers out there, you can send that out to your kids. You can share the link as a hint, and I'm going to send it to my kids. So tomorrow's video will probably be gift suggestions for fathers who have fish, and we'll see how that goes. And it ties into something that I'll include here under the milestones section of today's live stream. This is not so much a milestone, but it's something that's taken me more than 5 years to finally deal with and confront. I was told many years ago that I should get into what's called Amazon affiliates, because I'm always doing reviews of products, and I'm talking about this and I'm talking about that, and I'm always getting feedback from people that say, hey, look, I went and bought it, I love it, blah, 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 blah. And if you're an Amazon affiliate, you can actually provide a person with a link, and then they go to Amazon, and if they buy that product or any product after getting there with your link, it gives a little percentage to the channel. And as you can see, I just got it going. I've already made $1.49, so I am on my way. So it's not something that'll make you rich, but some of you have asked, how can I help the channel? Some of you have asked me to get memberships going and things of that nature. If you go to some of my videos, you'll see links. Use one of those links to get to Amazon when you're going to go buy something on Amazon, and that'll help support the channel. It'll give a penny or two to the channel. And of course, you can always super chat. And for those of you not familiar with super chats, that's where you can throw a little cash at the channel, and also you can get merch like this shirt, logo stuff that is at the Teespring store. Those are all different ways you can support the channel if you care to. And if you don't, I do not hold it against you. So as you can see from this slide here, there are a lot of things that I've listed in my videos. So there's a tremendous number of choices, and these are just products that I've tested, that I've used over time, and that I like. And I'm trying to include these in the description under most of my YouTube videos, and that way you can just link right up. And so it should be fun. Let's see where that goes. I was inspired by a fellow named Sean Cannell on YouTube, who was talking about a whole thing on how to get support going for YouTube channels. So let's get into today's topic. And as you can see here, I have 2 fish that are crossed. Well, 3 of them there. You have a very large pleco. But this fish here, this trout, all of a sudden started to get very, very blue throughout the body. He's had moments where he's been blue, but he had he went real blue. And Vinny, my Venusis named Vinny, is still without doubt, the boss. But this guy is putting on so much weight and size that I'll just show you what he did. You can see him here, and he's he doesn't mess with the fire hap. You see all the blue in the body? I don't know what's got him fired up. I'm not sure what it is. Something's got him fired up. Maybe he just hit that point in a fish's puberty or whatever. But he has the Fusco and the eyebiter completely corralled. There's the eyebiter. There's the Fusco. You can see them. They are. He has them cornered, and it loosens up sometimes, but for the most part, he is running the show. He is not over the Venusis, not over the Venusis, but certainly he's running the show over the eyebiter and the Fusco, which were the number two, and the eyebiter was number two. The Fusco was number three for sure, and you can see them here. They're just cowering and fearing for their lives, tucked into the corner. Now that doesn't mean that isn't going to change. It can change. It does change sometimes, but for right now, he is he's even chasing. Look at that. He's even got the little Buccochromis here, which really can't be a threat for him, but he's got him corralled there. Now I'm hoping that we're in a phase that's going to pass, because it's not something that you want to see going on all the time, because you want the Fusco to be able to swim around. You want the eyebiter to come around, and when I feed them, they all come out and they all eat, and there's no problem. But something has triggered in that trout, and he has asserted himself. He's in that phase where he's really pushing and being a bit of a bully, and hopefully once it settles out, in other words, once the fish realize that, okay, we have a new pecking order, don't challenge it, it's set. Hopefully that's that. Hopefully that's going to be the end of that, and I'm not going to have these poor fish, scared for their lives, hiding in the corner. So, and sometimes that does pass. When the Venusis took control, the Venusis was very hard on a couple fish. One fish, I think he probably was responsible for its death, a polystigma that I had. But once he took control, once he became dominant in the tank, it was over. He just started cruising around and not bothering anybody really. Sometimes after a water change, he would get fired up and go after people. But otherwise, he would just kind of hang out and not really get into it too much. I'm hoping that you see a lot of particles in the tank. I just done a feeding, as you can see them digging around the bottom. They do that after a feeding, so there was a lot of stuff being stirred up in the tank. That's why you see all the particles. And but at any rate, I'm hoping that once he's established and said, okay, that's it, I'm in charge, or at least I'm in the number two position, rock solid, that he's going to back off, and these other fish are going to be able to come around. And because no one wants to have a tank with the fish all sort of hiding in the corner. The Venusis, it's sort of business as usual. He just is swimming around, and he's just ignoring him, doesn't really see him as a threat. He could become a threat because he is going to become ultimately bigger, and probably just as thick as the Venusis. He has already surpassed the Venusis in length, so he's probably just over 10 inches. Venusis is around 10. Eyebiter's around 9.5 to 10. Fusco's around 9 to 10. So these are big fish. And I did see the eyebiter. I did see the trout hit the eyebiter on the side, and a bunch of scales flew off. I mean, it was a pretty hard hit. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. I don't want to get rid of any of these fish. They're all beautiful. I'm keeping a close eye on it and hoping it just sort of sorts itself out and settles into an order, a pecking order. I have had tank bosses that wouldn't let up, and were out to kill other fish that I had to get rid of. My best tank boss of all time is the Venusus that's in there right now, because once he took control, he just laid back and cruises around, and unless you challenge him directly like the eyebiter did, the eyebiter actually got over on him a little bit, and then the Venusus sort of caught his breath and opened up a can of whoop ass on him. So that's where that's at, and let me hear some of your comments. Some of your comments about what's going on here, and hey, it looks like somebody. I'm just looking at the comments again. When I talk normally, I don't look at the chat because I can get distracted and then I lose track of what I'm talking about. But I noticed that somebody just jumped in with a super chat, and I thank you, Remco Camphilis. Remco, thank you so much. And it looks like you're making a donation for Vinny. His full mafia name is Vinny Cheeks, and there's a story behind that, but that is his official mafia name is Vinny Cheeks. So. So if you folks have any comments or questions, let's just go ahead and jump into the live chats. And I have the chat in front of me, so go ahead and let me know if you have any questions or comments on what it is that's going on. And let's see here. Night Rider, maybe a change in the weather. I don't know. I guess that could do it. If water changes can make a change, maybe atmospheric pressure, how much the lights are on or off, temperature changes. In the winter, in the summertime, I don't run my heaters. And so the temperature might fluctuate a little more than, very slowly and gradually, but maybe the temperature fluctuates a little bit. Some of those things, I guess, could have an effect. Candi, you do a fantastic job. Keep up the good work, from Mabuna Man. Yes, Candi. Candi is a master of multitasking, and she can delete a troll and post the web page to a video while giving the kids breakfast. So she's pretty amazing. So. Jamie St. Amman, I'll be making some purchases soon for my tanks. We'll be needing supplies for fall. Well, let me tell you something about those links, those Amazon affiliate links. If you use one of them, and let's say you go to Amazon and you use one of those links, but you don't buy that product, Amazon recognizes that that you arrived at Amazon because of one of my links. So if let's say you go to you click on a Sun 302 link, and you go to Amazon and decide to buy a color television, they give me the credit, a little percentage credit. So anyway, those links it's a really good program. If you folks are YouTubers, definitely don't make the mistake I made and wait 10 years. So let's see here. David Sharp in the UK. Hello, David. And okay, yeah, so thank you for the feedback on that. It looks like the autofocus is jumping around a little bit on the camera. Good. That's the kind of feedback I want. It's a new system that I'm playing with, so I can put it on manual focus, and that way I'll know for the next stream, just put it on manual focus and then have it just be set, because it'll hunt around, and if it thinks that it needs to reacquire the focus point. Dr. DPFJ Aquariums, currently how many fish are in the aquarium? The aquarium behind me, I think you would consider lightly stocked. And that we have, let me see, Livingstone, We have let's take a look. Livingstonia, the eyebiter. We have the Fusco. We have the Bucco. Of course, the trout. The ben.o. Under 10. There's under 10 fish in that tank. Fire hap. There's a Borlei quad in there. So yeah, under 10. So by most standards, for cichlid keepers, that tank is very lightly stocked. And I know what you're suggesting is, hey, throw some more fish in there. Probably, maybe that's what you're thinking. And yeah, that would be an option and something I'm considering. The let's see here. The concern I have, of course, as some of you know, the concern that I have is that I am going to be relocating. And so I'm going to be moving to Nashville. This is pretty much set. The family has decided in 2 weeks we're going to be in Nashville looking at houses. So I'm in a funny place right now where I don't really want to buy fish because I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with the fish I have. But I think you're right. You know, I think if I had another 10 good size cichlids in there, and just to spread out the aggression, I think that would be good. And you know, when I set up again in Nashville, I'll probably take that approach, assuming I still have these fish. I'm not sure what fish I'm going to have, but we'll see where that goes. And it looks like Jamie St. Amand, my cichlids just had a fry in the last couple of months, 2 each. Nice. Congratulations. I'd love to get into breeding cichlids, partly because of the wild way that they, the mouth brooding and, the little fish going into the mouth and carrying them around. I'd love to get into that again. It's one of those things that I'll probably get into when I get into Nashville. And I also have to, I don't want to overextend myself. I'm involved in other things. And so I don't want to have so many things going on that I start to neglect things. If you watched, I think it was the 10 things that make the perfect tank. In my opinion, the live stream I did, I think it was last week, and that's one of my key things, is not getting to a point where it all becomes work. It just becomes too much. So let's see, Sean DeClerc. Sean DeLurk. Hey, Sean. You've been here before. I know you. Hope my trout ends up looking that good. Just the faintest blue on bottom lip, and fins haven't started extending yet, about 5 to 6. Yeah, they can take a long time to color up, to really show color, and to assert themselves and fire up. Once they do, they're gorgeous. I would put them in the same category as a Buccochromis notitania. When they're fully blossomed, they're really hard to beat. They're incredible looking fish. So I would hang in there. I would say probably at around 7-8 inches. You're gonna see them blow up. But also keep in mind that it also has to do with their thought. I mean, their how they're reacting to tank mates. And I think one of the reasons I think that mine is firing up now is because he feels more confident, as you can see by his challenge of the eyebiter and the Fusco. He's feeling more confident in where he is in the pecking order, the hierarchy of the tank, and so he's going to show more color. When they feel intimidated or subdominant, they're going to be gray. They're going to it almost like they're trying to appeal, like look like a female fish. So I don't want anybody to bother me. I'm not a challenge, and they almost go camouflage. So it depends on a few things. Certainly, water quality, right? Water conditions are going to play an important part, and tank mates. Also, the quality of food that you're feeding. make sure you're not feeding any food with fillers, things of this nature, and whether he's feeling dominant, sort of subdominant, how subdominant, that'll make a big difference. And of course, if you were to put a few females in there, I mean, immediately, they go into, they'll go into their breeding dress. They'll put on their Sunday best, if you will, and so that can also have an impact. Anton wants to know, will my angelfish stop breeding if I move them to a new tank? Is that something you want? Are they breeding too much? I used to run an angelfish tank at a school that my wife worked at. I put a tank in the kids, in the classroom, and it was probably, I don't know, maybe about a month, maybe two, and the thing was just swarming with little teeny angelfish, which are just cute as all get out. But yeah, they can be like guppies. So I don't know. I imagine conditions could affect it one way or the other. I'm not really sure or exactly positive how you would do that. Not being a breeder, if some of you know or have an idea about that, go ahead and chime in the chat. Po Siwi, I moved my yellow labs to a Mabuna only tank. My peacocks are so happy now, and got 4 Johnnies for the Mabuna tank. All are doing well. Ideas for next type of Mabunas. Consider the yellowtail Mabuna. That yellowtail Mabuna gets a beautiful blue in the body and a nice bright yellow tail, and they tend to be fairly mellow. They are all Mabuna are going to be very territorial, and so be sure you have a lot of caves. And one person made a suggestion that I thought was brilliant. Don't just have caves, horizontal in the tank. Build your caves upward like a condo. And so you can have different levels of caves by stacking the rock a certain way. And, if you provide a lot of those caves, and I remember John over at Tank Talk, I use KG Tropical, so he was talking one time about one of the most beautiful tanks he either saw or could envision, and it was a all yellow labs, and black, and all black. The sides of the tank, the back, the gravel, all black, and 50 yellow labs. And you see, you'd walk in, it was shocking, if I remember it correctly. So you might want to consider staying with all yellow and black everything out, and you'll have this tremendous sort of impact of a tank. But if I was to put some fish, from my experience, I'm not a Mabuna expert, but I would put some of those blue yellowtail Mabunas. Those are beautiful. I think they're beautiful. And for Christ's sake, stay away from Oratus and and Pseudotropheus. Pseudotropheus can be real jerks, again, from my experience. And there's always exceptions, right? And Chris Walker, I think, being an avid fisherman as well, I think weather and seasons definitely play a huge role on spawning and aggression. Oh, there you go. I mean, that's not something I would not having fished that much. I fished some, certainly with my kids when they were smaller, but not being a fisherman, that's not even something that I would even think of. But yeah, I guess there are certain times of year, certain times of the day, certain seasons, all that can have an impact. And let's see here. Chris Mosner, thanks for all the info as always. I've grown expediently. I can't make out that since following you. Hope you have a good day. Thank you, Chris. And I appreciate that, and I'm glad you're finding some benefit. And someone wants the fish cam. What I have is instead of the fish cam, what I set up was a backup camera on the off chance that this main camera would fail. And so what I did is I set this camera up in case the A6400 wouldn't work or would crash on me or something for some reason. So I had this camera set up as a backup or a plan B. But what we can do, so get ready to get moved, what we can do is we can take this camera and we can put my coffee down. We can position it so you folks can just see the tank. Let's see here. There's your tank cam. So let's see who's out. The looks like the Imperial is out. There's the trout, as you can see, staying away, chasing everyone else, but staying away from Vinny. The Livingstone, he seems to be off of the trout's radar. Oh, the Eyebiter is out. That's good. And that large pleco in there tends to be left alone. He's pretty armor plated, so it doesn't really matter what's going on, you know, with these guys. He's just sort of he doesn't care, because he's sort of you know, you can bite him and hit him all you want. He just sort of laughs and goes, "Okay, is that all you got?" So here, I'll move it even a little closer here. Of course, nobody messes with that fire hap. Bucochromis, taking a chance, taking a risk. Oh, look at that, the Borlei is out, the Borlei quad. One of my favorite fish. Love that combination of browns and blues. Look at the blue in the face of Vinny. Vinny's a little fired up too, so my advice to the trout, at least for now, is stay out of his way. And after I do a water change, we'll see what happens. Because when you do a water change, that Vinny gets pretty fired up. So there's your fish cam. So let's go back into some questions. And let me pull up the chat. All right. Thank you, Candi. She's sharing the store merchandise and my Instagram and everything else. Thank you, Candi. Doing a great job. I notice Kevin's here. Thank you, Kevin, for helping out. GP, thank you, my friend. Let's see, Supreme African Cichlids K91. Why would you move from Cali to Nashville? There's a variety of reasons. The main one is that my daughter, who's married and is going to be relocating to Nashville, she's a performing artist, and she has in her plans to have children, and we want to be the local grandparents, and that's partly the main reason. Also, it's a lot less expensive in Nashville. I can get 3 times the house for probably half the price in Nashville that I can get here, and I can get land, a lot of land with it, as opposed to here where you'd probably be butted right up against another house. So there's a quality of life issue, and with the money I save, you can be pretty sure I'm going to be coming back here to visit, because I have I have a son in Seattle, I have a son in San Francisco, and I'm not sure where my other daughter is going to end up. She's going to initially relocate with us to Nashville, my youngest daughter, so we'll see. But there's a variety of reasons, but let's go with that one as the main reason. Darren, you're toying with the idea of getting another tank and keeping tapajos. Tapajos are those beautiful geophagus, right? Am I right? For the ones I'm thinking of, they're gorgeous. Long flowing fins, beautiful color throughout the body. Maybe I think some red on the. If it's the one I'm thinking of, those are gorgeous fish. I've never used Wonder Shell, Chris. Never used Wonder Shell as a product, so I can't really comment on it. Posiwi, love my fish, was just going to have the cichlids and swords, but had to separate the peacocks and babunas. You know, Posiwi, I hit a point where I had to make a decision, but I didn't have the room. If I had had the room, I would have had a Mabuna tank. I would have set up another tank and kept my beautiful yellow lab and my yellowtail and a couple other fish I had, because they got so big and they were chasing the peacocks around there and hurting them and becoming. So I just had to make a decision. So I went with peacocks and haps. But I think if you can have a tank dedicated to Mabuna, that's great. I think. All right. If anyone knows about those medicated wonder shells, go ahead and comment on them. I don't have any experience on them, so I can't really tell you anything about that. Let me see here. Yeah, Janie. Yeah, that's the yellowtail. Yellowtail asai. I don't know how to pronounce it. And those are beautiful. All right. If you have any other questions, go ahead and ask them, and I will do my best to answer them. Darren Sharp, water change finished. Good to get that done. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Neil, I think so. I think once I get this new camera dialed in, it's a lot better. Even with the hunting on the focus, it's still a superior picture. There's no comparison really. The Logitech video cams are the best of that kind of product. The 920 series but you can only get so much into this size, so you get a lot more technology in the larger cameras, and the A6400 from Sony is just a very, very it's just a good model. All right, let's see. Leo Contreras, if a fish flashes once, should I worry? No. I mean, if you see somebody scratching, you shouldn't worry, right? I mean, that for very, very often that's what it is. I mean, I've also heard it has something to do with territory, like or expressing some territorial thing or dominance. But I'm not sure about that. But it's something I've heard. But they get itch. They might feel something on them that they don't like. And a while back, I used to get it after water changes, and it stopped. I started, filling the tanks up a little bit slower, so there wasn't too much of a shift, and it stopped. They used to scrape and scratch after that. But if there's flashing once or twice, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Albino eye biter isn't really aggressive at all. Sean, I hope that always stays that way. Fish. I mean, the trout that I've talked about earlier. That trout was just a kind of a big, goofy fish up until about a week ago, and now he's got other fish corralled in the corner. So stuff triggers in these fish. Keep an eye on him. My experience with albinos is that they, and I imagine combined with the eye biter temperament, they can be a little bit rough. So just keep an eye on them, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you got a good one. You got one that's going to be mellow. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is Katie's. Hey, Katie. In Knoxville, Tennessee, definitely cheaper to live out here. Yeah, cost of living is a big concern. I mean, I'm going to be retired, doing some work on the side, living off super chats. and Amazon affiliate links. So yeah, cost of living is a concern. Sean, Aquarium Fish Depot is awesome. Go there twice a week. And was there yesterday. Has an 8-inch redfin hap. I've been fighting myself on getting. Never seen one that big. I love that place, Sean. I want to go back there. He was about to put a bank of tanks in the very back wall. This place is a warehouse, folks. If you haven't seen my video on Aquarium Fish Depot, check it out. This guy he acquired a warehouse in an industrial park, and he has row after row after row of beautifully kept, clean tanks, huge variety of fish, from community fish to cichlids, and he was going to put the back. He had it all plumbed up already. All the plumbing was done. He was going to add tanks to the back, and then COVID-19 hit. So, but I'm going to take another trip down there, Sean. I want to see. I want to see what he's got going on, and see if he's got those new tanks in. And I love that place. Ron, the owner, great guy, really good guy, all about the fish, and very dedicated to the hobby and very knowledgeable. I really liked him a lot. I'd like to do a live stream from there someday, actually. Daniel Coleman, thoughts on Frontosa, in with peacocks. Also, can you do a shout out to my son, Kyle Campbell? Tell him to get off computer and go out and play. Love your channel. Hey, Kyle, come on, dude. There's a whole world out there. Go. As I sit here on my computer. At any rate, I had a Frontosa. His name was Eeyore. I ended up giving him to Kevin Green, one of the moderators here in the live stream, and they like a tank that is a little bit more dimly lit. They like to be among their own species. They're happier that way, and they're just very chill. They move very slow. They're very different in temperament, and would be startled or alarmed by all the movement. It's just a different wavelength for a front to be in with fish darting around and chasing each other, and they get very, very big. They can live 30 years. They get massive, so you have to have a very big tank, 100 plus minimum. Once they start putting on size, they grow slow, but they will eventually get very big. And if you've ever seen a large one open up its mouth, it's like a hippopotamus. I mean, we use the standard, well, a fish is safe as long as it can't fit in his mouth. Every one of the fish in my tank right now could probably fit in the mouth of a fully grown Frontosa. So, so anyway, I would say no. I would say maybe while they're small, but eventually get a large tank that is Frontosa only. And Eeyore became much happier when I gave him to Kevin, and he had a Frontosa only tank, and he stopped being Eeyore and started being happier again. Neil, photography is one of my other hobbies. That's awesome, Neil. Yeah, I love photography. I think it's great, and I really got tired of the using the Apple. The Apple it's good for video, but I don't like it for still shots. It's horrible at freezing motion. Samsung is far superior, but finally I've upgraded to an actual, a mirrorless camera. Yeah, Phosochromis. Yes, I have a Phosochromis that's growing out, and this is DJ Cichlid. Phosochromis would look awesome in that tank. He's growing out. He's in the 100 right now. He's very close to being able to come over. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I have a trout. I have a sand diver and a hawk in the 100 that should be in this tank, and eventually will be moved over. We'll see how that works. And Justin says that the back wall is done at the Aquarium Fish Depot. Thank you, Justin. I'm going to call Ron up, and I'm going to make a trip down there, because it's just an awesome shop. If you go in there, give yourself 2 hours, because you're gonna wander up and down the aisles. It's like a fish keeper's Disneyland, and you're not gonna want to leave. And if Ron's available, he was very busy when I was there, but if he's available, he'll stop and talk fish with you. Just a really good guy. GP says plecos can live yes, they can, and will keep growing the whole time. They can get massive. And the pleco I have right now in the tank behind me is already probably close to 8 inches, maybe bigger. And at some point, I may have to trade him out. Comply has a 125 full of hawks. That must be beautiful. And are they spawning? Are they breeding? I mean, that's probably beautiful. I mean, when a hawk is fired up, it's a gorgeous fish. Very unusual. Leo asks, what's your thoughts on Fritz aquarium salt, A+ aquarium salt? How often do you recommend using it? I'm not a big salt guy. You know, I don't use salt in my tanks. I will say that I was at a American Cichlid Association meeting when they had the prototype, and it was a probiotic salt that had probiotics in it. So it looked like a great product, but I don't have any experience with it, so I'm very reluctant to comment on something I don't have experience on, and I don't usually use salt. I use the Malawi lake salt from Seacamp, which is really trace minerals. It's not really, you know, like an Epsom or a kosher salt. It's not like that, and so I can't really comment on that. I will say this. After trying numerous products, you know, General Cure, Furon, nothing stopped Colomeris. That was wiping out my tanks a few years ago because of a mistake I made with quarantine. And it was the Fritz product. The Marison, I think it was the Marison product that they sell. Boy, have some of that in your cabinet. Fritz Marison. I put some of that in there, and within 48 hours, I saw the Colomeris slow down and then stop. And it saved, I don't know how many fish. I had already lost 50% of my stock. And when I was researching on YouTube, I was hearing that Colomeris would wipe out 100% of stock routinely, video after video after video. I lost all my fish. I lost all my fish over and over again. So I was like, okay, here we go, you know? And I put some of the Fritz product in there, the Marison, and it arrested it immediately. Now, can you get that strength of a antibiotic, a gram-positive antibiotic today? I don't know, because they've changed the laws. I went to a talk given by Corey over in Costa Mesa, the Costa Mesa, I think it's a club, a fish club, and he talked about how these antibiotics are being removed from the shelves, and maybe people were taking them or you're using them off-label. I don't know. Probably the pharmaceutical companies want you to buy their expensive stuff, is my theory. So at any rate, it's getting harder and harder to find strong antibiotics. But if you can get a hold of some of that Marison from Fritz, have some on hand, because man, oh man, that thing, it kicked Colomeris in the butt. Nothing else would. Nothing else. It just kept marching along, and it's a horrible disease. It either shows signs exterior, like on the exterior, like a white cotton in the mouth, you know, a stripe, a vertical stripe on the body, and sometimes it doesn't show. It just attacks the organs, and the fish just flop over and die. So definitely keep some Marison in your cabinet if you can. Darren, that's the question. That is the question. I don't know if I'm taking my fish. I may try and make a deal with a local fish store. Maybe Nolan, if you're listening. Maybe someone like that can take my fish and then ship them to me when I'm ready. Or I might just do a complete clean start, just a brand new start. And we'll see. Javier, no, I've never kept Asian needlenose at all. Never. Not a fish I've ever kept. Now, Utlu, Utluu, how do you treat whites? I imagine that's spots. Now, are you talking about ick? I have a video on ick, how I won the battle, and if that's what you're talking about, I mean, I gradually raised the temperature to 85 degrees. Excuse me, I raised the temperature to 85 degrees, and then what I did was use cordon, a product from Cordon called Ick Attack, and I was doing vacuuming like every other day, vacuuming the substrate, because the ick will fall off the fish and then hatch. The eggs fall off the fish and then hatch and then swim up and attach to the fish. So I was hitting it with a high temperature, Cordon Ick Attack, and then vacuuming so I could get as many of the eggs out of the tank as possible. And that's how I beat it, if that's what you're talking about. I mean, there are other types of diseases that create white spot, and you can get into things like products like Metroplex that you can soak your food in. There are products like Furon and products like API General Cure. I mean, you have different products out there, and you can read on the back what they're for, and some of those might work for things like velvet or other kinds of white spot diseases. Darren recently moved and sold Mabuna and started again with peacocks and haps. Yeah, I mean, it might be a good opportunity to sort of reassess what I want. Do I want to move into a calmer fish? Maybe have a tank of Lethrinops, a tank of Geos, maybe get back into discus, maybe have a planted tank with some guppies. And, I'd love to have a real green tank that I'm dosing with CO2 and with a deep substrate that is self-sustaining. In other words, there's anaerobic bacteria that is controlling the nitrates together with the plants, and so it's very low maintenance but maintains itself clean because of the plants and the anaerobic bacteria. So there's different things I have going on in my head. We'll see. You may have an opportunity to buy a lot of equipment and fish if you're in Southern California. You might have a chance to get a real good deal on some very quality fish. We'll see. All right. So I want to thank those of you who have done a super chat. Thank you so much for that. If I missed you, I'm sorry. And those of you who have given me a thumbs up and a sub, thank you to you as well. And Christopher Lopez, thanks for the heads up. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I wonder what he had going on. He's been a very, very good guy with me. And, yeah. Never had rare plecos. NJ African Cichlids, never had rare plecos. I love the way they look, but I've never had them. At any rate, so thank you everybody for the thumbs up. Thank you everybody for the super chats and for showing up. And we're gonna go ahead and do the wrap up here and do the final plug. I appreciate you staying for this. Come on over to Facebook, visit the store, follow on Instagram, and thank you so much, Candi and Kevin and Denny and GP. And I will have the focus worked out on this camera for my next live stream. I hope you enjoyed the better quality film. And I think that's it for me. Thank you, everybody. I hope to see you next week. And you all stay well, be happy, enjoy your fish, and check out my video tomorrow, probably a Father's Day video. Bye-bye.